Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And today I'm going to unpack the topic, real breakup stories versus general breakup advice. So recently I've been combing the YouTube airwaves, looking for videos to maybe react to on breakup advice, on breakups, different coaches out there. And I've done a few videos on that, and it's been okay. And I've just noticed, because it's been a while, it's been a long time since I've done research on other coaches and what they're doing out there. And a lot of the advice is good. A lot of it is extremely general and surface-based. And it's hard for me to listen to because I don't want to use the word obvious, but it's stuff I already know, right? And it's just, when you get into this, it's just the same stuff regurgitated over and over and over and over again. And a lot of time there's no way to put it into action. If I hear one more person say, be on your purpose, you got to be on your purpose. You got to be on your purpose. It's like, okay, if someone's having trouble being on their purpose, it's probably deeper than the breakup, right? Or, no contact. You just got to go into no contact. It's like, before you give that advice, someone needs to be heard out. This is a thing that's, you need to have someone hear your story or hear someone else's story that's real in the field, that's actually happened, that you can relate to. I've had clients before that are in no contact and are like, yeah, I just keep watching no contact videos again and again, and it confuses me because one no contact video tells me 30 days and then I can contact them. Then one no contact video tells me that there's a good chance that they'll come back after 45 days. And then there's another one that says, if it's there's one coach out there that's like, at 8 months, in my experience, at 8 months, if they don't contact you, it's pretty much over. It's like, how did you come up with 8 months? It's like, did you research that, or did you just pull it out of the sky? And a lot of this stuff, even if someone says, oh, research, studies, and I've heard some coaches like, studies show, science shows, and they'll never have the studies in the notes. They'll never have what the study was about. Well, research supports this. And I'm sure it does. I mean, on the internet right now, you could make a case for anything you want. You really can, right? You could make a case for anything you want to make a case for. You can find evidence for anything you want to make it, right or wrong. Getting back to this, though, is the story of what happened to you, or the story that happened to someone else that's a true story, and the individual advice that's given to that. How much more useful is that to you than all men do this and women do that? It's the narrative online right now is women do this, men do this, they. It's like, it's so generalized, right? And as I was combing through the YouTube videos, it's not necessarily bad advice, right? It's equated to, you should really get a smoke alarm for your house, because if a fire happens, it's going to help you out, right? And then someone says, well, what if I don't live in an area where there's a lot of fire? There's so many nuances to the situation. Breakups are even more. The amount of people that go, well, my situation's different. Now, if you get a coach or a therapist or someone that's helping you out and they're like, yeah, no, your situation, I already know it. Men are like this, women are like that. Now, they might be going in the right direction, but the reality is what you have to share and what happened, your twists and turns really count to you. It's going to decide how you move, what you do. But you watch, and it's amazing because there's a breakup coach born every day on YouTube recently, right? I mean, it's a huge space right now. And it's funny because someone will come up and they're doing really well and their videos are doing really well, and the information's basically the same. It's just repackaged. No contact, work on yourself. They'll take this from a coach. They'll take this from a book. And I'm saying, great, but what's your fucking story? Like, what happened to you? If you're not getting that unpacked, if you're not divulging that to someone and you're just watching endless videos, it could work, right? But if you're stalled or you're like, I'm not sure if this video applies to me or if this information applies to me, right? Because what happens now is, like I said, someone goes, all right, I'm going to do the no contact. They watch 5 videos, and then the 6th video tells them, no, don't do no contact. Go and call them. Because if you call them and you write this certain letter, you actually have a better chance. And then they go, that's what I want to believe. And then they go do it, and they get, back down to ground zero, right? So today I'm going to unpack a couple stories that have come into writemac.com. And if you have a story you want to share and you want me to unpack on the YouTube channel, we're going to be doing live streams regularly. And there's going to be a new format to the live streams. It's going to be stories unpacked, but also some reactions to videos on the topic. So today I have 2 sides of the same breakup, which was a YouTube video I haven't reviewed completely, but I'm going to pull it up and watch it with you. And then there's also 100 people tell us about their worst breakups, real breakup stories. So there's so much information on this, right? But this is a space that hasn't been touched a lot, real breakup stories, right? So I'm going to get a little deeper on that. And let me know in the comments, let me know how you feel about this kind of a topic, right? How much of the information out there is generalized? Because I'm hearing all this noise from a variety of by all means popular YouTube channels with high levels of views and whatnot, and it's very surface-based general advice that's men do this, women do that. Men do this, women do that. I mean, there's some truth to masculine and feminine, but in your individual breakup story, don't you have some things that surprise you sometimes? Have you ever had a woman where you're like, you're acting like a man? Or you ever had, like, there's some things that go on that don't just narrow down to the masculine feminine, right? It's so much deeper than that. It's so much deeper than that, right? So let me pull up this story. Sabina, how you doing? Rick, we got to get you back on the show. I'm going to start doing live streams again. Get your opinion out there, man. That was really nice. About a year ago or 2 years ago, you came on and we talked shop for a little bit. It was really cool. So let me get into, I'm going to pull this up real quick. Give me a moment here. 2 sides of the same breakup. This is only like a 5-minute video, but I'm curious how this plays out. When exes separately explain why they broke up, will their stories match? Will they get back together? This is a great idea. I've thought of this before. I get a lot of people that send me their stories, tell me their stories, and obviously you came to me, so I'm on your team. I'm going to be honest and objective like a coach. I'm not going to kiss your ass or blow sunshine up there. But on the flip side, I don't know the other side of the story, right? And how many times have you, put in the comments right now, have you had a friend that broke up and it's your boy, it's your buddy, right? It's your dog. And deep down he was actually a little bit wrong, or deep down he fucked up, but he's not aware of it, or he's just blinding himself to it, and he's going on and on and on and on. And you're like, you're gonna back him up because it's your buddy, right? Or you're not gonna like state the obvious. But on the flip side, she's got another story to tell, or you've had a situation where you had insight on the whole damn thing, and then something comes about where you're like, oh, you didn't tell me that part. You didn't tell me that part. I've had that happen when people are coming to me for breakup advice, and they're like, well, they get about an hour into it, the whole thing, and they're like, I'm going to be honest with you now. I actually cheated on her, and I was seeing my ex-fiance. It's like, well, that would have been nice to tell me in the beginning. Well, I didn't know if I should tell you or not, because it's like, what do you think I'm going to tell everyone? Right? All right, so let's get into this video. 2 sides of the same breakup. Using StreamYard here, it's really convenient to pull these up. All right.
I am here today to talk about why things went south with my ex.
Oh, God. I don't want to talk about how we met because it's very, like, 21st century.
First, we started off on Tinder, and then we just moved to Instagram DMs because it was a little more classy. We actually, for the first time ever, we hung out. We, like, painted each other. It was really weird first date, but it actually ended up being amazing.
Probably one of the best first dates I've ever had.
I thought it was great. I thought it was going to go really well.
Do you have a favorite moment from your relationship?
Yes, I do.
There was a time we were like sitting on this dock in Florida, like right on the river, and then like out of nowhere, like 3 or 4 dolphins just like come right underneath the dock and like start swimming around.
I was just so filled with happiness and love that night. I was just like a mess. It was great.
I like have it in my head like I'm probably gonna marry her.
Noah makes me very outgoing and just more creative and artistic. We kind of inspire each other.
So what ended up happening between you guys?
Well, nothing like awful happened. It was very gradual.
I was in the college lifestyle and then she was still at like hometown.
I was upset about something and Noah wanted to go out to a party and I was like, I don't feel like going to a party right now. And he went anyway and left me.
And then of course my ex-girlfriend's at the party and that just made things even worse.
He felt bad that I was upset about it, but he didn't really think that it was a big deal.
I just left her in my room and like, oh, this sounds so horrible. I don't know what I was doing.
We were on a family camping trip and I was just kind of tired of his behaviors. He wanted to smoke and I was like, please don't smoke. Like, we're literally on a family camping trip. Why do you need to smoke?
And I like just hit it like right in front of her. And like, I didn't like blow it. Oh God, this sounds so terrible. I'm not a bad guy, really I'm not.
That kind of environment that he created was so uncomfortable for me. So I broke up with him over text.
Yeah, it was mutual. I regret everything, obviously, like, you know, took it for granted, let something really, really, really good go.
We broke up and we didn't talk, and then I moved here. And I knew that he had the aspiration to live in New York, but I didn't know how serious he was or if he was gonna go through with it. But then he texted me and he said, hey, I'm gonna come up to New York. I have an apartment, I'm gonna be there next week. I was like, oh,
I feel like I just don't want to f it up this time. That's like my big thing. Not to be all like mushy gushy, but like just prove to her like who I can be like for her. Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm quite well, how are you?
I'm quite well as well.
How was your interview?
Oh, it was pretty good. What about you?
You know,
You know.
average.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Average interview. Typical day.
Shut
Shut up.
Noah wrote a rap
Yeah.
and recorded it. So if you're on SoundCloud and you hear the song Pussy Wet Just Like a Shark,
You'll know that was me.
Noah Fleming.
3 in the morning with auto-tune on my voice.
Can you guys tell me the story about the party again?
You wanted to go out to a Halloween party where 2 of his ex-girlfriends were also
See, I
gonna be.
mentioned one because I didn't want to sound like an asshole.
Yeah, but then I was crying and I didn't feel like going out anymore. And you left me there and went to the party. And then I went home by myself. I drove an hour home by myself.
You went home that night?
Yeah.
Bro, I'm the worst. So how did I resolve that? How did I end up?
You did it.
Well, what happened?
I just got over it.
You just got over it? Makes it sound so bad.
I'm sorry, Noah.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Sad.
It's okay.
I was talking to them about how crazy it was that even when we were broken up, we ended up in here so close to each other.
Yeah.
So is that a sign from the big man, or is it, what is it? What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's very strange. Do you think that me moving here inspired you to get your shit together?
Oh, f yeah. There's people who get back together like every other 2 months and stuff. I don't think that's necessarily healthy.
Yeah, I always said that once we broke up, that was it.
Oh, me too.
And there was no...
'Cause I'm not
there was
the
gonna
one-
Be, yeah,
I've
I'm not the
never-
one to keep going back and forth.
She
back
told
together
me
with you.
that we are not gonna like, we weren't gonna be friends. She's not gonna be casual with me at all. Either we're dating and we're in love or we're nothing. And I was just like, fuck. Like she's told me specifically, she's like, I don't wanna be like your other ex-girlfriends where
Because
you,
he's very friendly with all of his ex-girlfriends.
not like friendly, but like,
But like, no, not in a bad way, but you're still friends with them.
Yeah.
And I wasn't gonna be friends with you. I'm not your friend.
yeah, no,
Like,
like that.
I'm not your friend.
I guess that's his song. Interesting video. I don't know if that was staged or not. She was obviously still into him. You could tell. She had sweet eyes for him when they parted ways there, and the way she was looking at him. But I definitely don't think that's how it all. And they seemed like they were maybe 19, 20, 21 at the most. The way they were, at least their maturity level. The fact that he went to a party, and I can't forgive him for that, or he smoked at a camping trip, and I mean, those kind of stories, right? But you know what? It's real to the people in the situation. Right. This guy is the woman. I mean, he was acting more feminine in the situation, but the girl was into him, right? It was interesting how she was kind of seated and he was standing, and he was still almost as tall as her. All right, there's a couple other ones I'm going to share on this. Let me know if you guys come across anything, if you ever want to put it in the comments of a video you want me to react to or a topic that we can go over. It's really interesting what comes up when you put in real breakup story. You would think that would be a topic that comes up heavy, but compared to like no contact, letting someone go, block my ex. Actually, a lot of people don't search real breakup stories, and I just feel like it's one of those things. To me, during a breakup, I think learning about no contact, right? Learning about attraction again, learning about what happened. There's kind of like this stage of going through all the videos, but to me, seeing some real breakup stories unpacked would be probably one of the best things, because then you can relate to something, or you can see where someone else went wrong. You can not feel as bad, because I think there's so much guilt involved. All right, let's get to another one of these. And I haven't, full disclosure, I haven't watched all of these. This one's called 100 People Tell Us About Their Worst Breakup. These are more sound bites, so it's a little bit more fun. But at some point, as I'm stuttering here, we got 5 on deck. I'm going to get to some stories that came into writemac.com and unpack them with you. So let me get back to this. 100 people tell us about their worst breakup here.
Blocked all of them out.
Oh, I messed up here. Hold on a sec.
What about it?
Just getting... Gotta share that one. Stay with me. Stay with me. This one's a good one, I think.
Kicked one of my exes out, gave him a check so he could get a new apartment. He got one in the same complex so he could see my apartment from his. Not cute.
I want to talk about like worst breakup.
Worst breakup?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I think I blocked all of them out.
Worst breakup.
Worst breakup.
What about it?
Tell me about it.
It was rough. First person I fell in love with.
My first like serious boyfriend kind of like just left in the middle of the night. We'd been dating for so long, it was like 4 years, and I really have not seen him since.
I like left in like the middle of the night and just like took my shit. Like, sorry, I'm out.
We were living together and it seemed like everything was going great.
It just came out of nowhere for me. I even told him my parents thought he was gonna propose to me.
She broke up with me on Christmas Eve.
Valentine's Day.
Right before my birthday.
Ended over text?
Text dumped me.
Over Facebook Messenger. I did not reply.
I thought I loved them. They had such a cool screen name. Buttface Maximus.
Well, it was with her. My current girlfriend.
With my current fiance, actually. We broke up
for like sort of on and off.
On and off.
On and off.
Break up, get back together again.
He'd break up with me.
Break up, get back together again.
He'd want to get back together, and I was all happy.
Break up.
Are we dating? Are we not?
Sleep with each other's best friends. Ew.
And then like,
All right, not really a story going there. I would say that, when you ask someone what their worst breakup is, first of all, it comes down to how many people they've actually been with, right? And what they evolve as a worst breakup. But it isn't, as I asked in the comments, is it always your first love? It isn't. It isn't. I've been doing this a long time. I would say that there's a lot of people it is the first love. But I would say that one of the big ones that's surprising to some people is they have a lot of trouble if they come out of a long-term relationship. When I say long-term, I'm going to say 4 or 5, 6, 7 years. And if it was even longer, and the relationship was, dare I say, dead for the last 6 months or a year, and that breakup wasn't that bad, or that marriage. And then they get a new girlfriend or boyfriend who they're head over heels for, the intimacy's outstanding, they're absolutely in love because this person was everything that their past partner that they stuck it out with isn't. And so they get into that, right? They get into that new relationship and they're all in, right? They were just in a crappy relationship that they were staying in because they're loyal and they're committed, but they really, the intimacy sucked. There's all kinds of problems with it, but they're committed, right? They get into a new relationship where the intimacy's outstanding, the attraction's all there. They feel like it's rose petals and wine glasses and rose petals, and then the other person pulls the plug on them, and they're like, what? What happened? And what happens is that they're here and the other person's here, or the other person had something trigger them in the first 6 months or a year. And here's the thing. You just got out of a relationship, right? You just got out of a relationship that you were thick and thin. You stayed together, especially marriages, right? Like you were committed. And now you're in a relationship that you feel is better. There's more attraction, there's more excitement, and someone dips out over something silly like a comment or, all of a sudden they went cold on you. This really messes people up because they're the types like, when I'm in a relationship, I stick to it. When I'm in a relationship, I just don't get it. Those are the hardest ones. I just don't get it. What happened? The other one that's really difficult, and this is mainly with men, but not all the time, is when there's a huge age gap, like 15 years, and the guy's maybe, let's just say 40, I'm 40, and the woman's 25. Let's just give a round number. But it could easily be that he's 55 and she's 30, right? And he's head over heels, he's excited, he's proud, he likes, you know what I mean? And she breaks up with him and he can't believe it, right? And he's like, well, I still look young, all this other stuff. Well, number one, she's got more options. Number two, she's going to pivot out of it easier. She can meet someone just like that guy very easy. And the list goes on. The thing that he doesn't realize is that it's going to be harder for him to find another woman like that. But he felt really special being that he overcame that 15-year age gap and that he was with something that was a nice piece of eye candy, right? And it's just a hard fall. And those relationships just don't usually last. They don't. And the guy wants to believe otherwise. They happen, they don't last. Because when something goes wrong, the woman goes, well, I have plenty of other options. And really, if she's 25, 30 years old, her biological clock's ticking. And if you're older, she's kind of thinking there's always a chance hypergamy plays in, and she thinks she can maybe do better, right? So this comes up a lot, actually. So if I was going to characterize what would be the worst one, I wouldn't say that there's one thing. I wouldn't say that. But those are ones that come up a lot that you'd be surprised outside of just my first love. But someone being surprised, in other words, like I thought everything was really going well and now you're dipping out on me. That's the one that's the cliffhanger, the open loop, and your mind will just get stuck on it. That's when you need to contact me, send in your story, and break it down. I'm not going to cure the situation, but I'll help you out a bit. I'll help you see the light. All right, let's get into the chat, and then I'm going to break down some stories. We got 4 on deck. Thanks for the likes. Lucky Duck Daisy Flower. Will you get points for most creative name? Can I just call you Lucky Duck? Remember that movie, Howard the Duck? I dipped out after a lot of abuse, and I knew I wouldn't find anyone for a very long time. If ever, he always finds someone easily. Well, I mean, if you had a reason like abuse, good for you, hon, first of all. Second of all, why would you feel like you wouldn't find someone for a very long time, if ever? That's an extremely limited belief. I just want to know what would make you feel that way? Where are you coming from in that sense, hon? And he always finds someone easily, right? Let's elaborate a little bit on that, Lucky Ducky. Worst breakup ever, says the great Rick C. I don't know if it was the first love, but the first woman I ever saw myself having a kid with, I think hurt more than my first love. Good point, man. And that's being at a different place in your life. And that is a different thing than your first love. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Rick C, Sabina, Lucky Ducks on deck, correct me if I'm wrong on this. Our ideal, or your ideal of what love is in a relationship that's a romantic relationship outside of your family, right, is going to evolve if you've had a few relationships. What you want, right, Rick? What I want at, entering into my 40s right now is much different than what I wanted when I was 22, 23, right? And so that's going to evolve a little bit. I think the idea that you're looking at someone long-term, long game, someone you want to have a kid with, you're right, man. That's totally different than someone you fell in love with when you were 19. And by the way, that person you fell in love with when you were 19, you might say, oh, I'm never getting married to them, but this is a fun ride, literally. Sabina, trauma healing. Okay, I think men tend to have more options as we age. I agree. I can't keep letting them come back every fall. I saw it through a few years, not again. Good for you, hon. Make a stand. Put a line in the sand. Be done. I'm done. Abuse. If you feel like you've been abused, there's no excuse for that. That's good, Rick. Older men needs options too. Older 60. Okay. All right, let's get into a breakup story. We got 3 on deck. We're going to keep it spirited. I'm going to be on all week. We're going to be doing some more of this with some different reaction videos mixed in with the stories, and maybe get some interviews in. But I'm going to rededicate myself back to the live streams, something I have a lot of fun with. I was playing with some other reaction videos, some different thumbnails, but we're going to get back to the meat and potatoes of this channel, which is real breakup stories, right? All right. So this one actually just came in. If you got a breakup story you want to share, go ahead and look how snazzy this is. Send it in to writemac.com and we can unpack it like this. All right, this just came in. Hey there, Coach Mac. I hope you're doing well. The relationship I'm about to describe, you ended a long time ago, but I'm still thinking about her a lot. I'm thinking that she ended a long time ago. I shouldn't. You'll see why. So just to let you know, I'm reading this fresh right now, and I haven't reviewed this at all, so I don't know what's going to come up. It's going to be a little surprising. All right, so a little context. I've known and liked this girl since I was 5 years old. Wow, that's deep. She was a friend of my cousin, and I was seeing her every year on Christmas when I went to visit. We started a relationship when we were in our late teen years, but due to long distance and the immaturity that characterized, it didn't last, obviously. I hadn't seen her for years after that, but after some time, my cousin told me that she would ask how I was doing and I was seeing anyone and all that. It wasn't until late 2018 when we met again. I was 21 and she was 20. Well, this is going to be a totally different situation because when you're in your younger years, you've known each other since you were 5 years old. That's a different type of scenario, right? It's called puppy love. I was 21 and she was 20, and the one thing led to another. We ended up going on vacation together. We really liked each other, and even though we weren't similar as characters, there was this almost uncanny chemistry between us. Well, I mean, if you've known each other since you were 5, and then you had the hots for each other when you were teens, but nothing really materialized, but you were on good terms. Of course, there's going to be some uncanny chemistry that's not there from someone that you meet on Tinder, right? It's not going to be the same thing. And so This is really interesting, right? How many people have something like this? It makes me think of Jordan Peterson saying that he married, his wife grew up across the street from him. She asked me where I was going with this because at the time she was studying abroad, so she made it clear we couldn't have a relationship because she didn't want to lose me that way. All right, well, that's very clear. Long-distance relationships aren't ideal. If you're in your, by the way, 2021, the relationships, you're both, 2021, correct me if I'm wrong, the people that are on deck right now, you're more selfish, you're more impulsive. It's harder to keep a relationship going anyways at that age because you're evolving, you're changing, especially if you're in university, if your schedules aren't changed. If you sprinkle in long distance, it's ashes to ashes, dust to dust before it even gets started, okay? And there's going to be one person that's going, we can make it work. Have you done long distance before, let alone at 2021? And she's on a study abroad mission. It's dust. I think that's great foresight, high level of maturity on her end. Having been a part of a LDR, which obviously didn't go very well, I agreed. LDRs are hard enough, but they're generally a really bad choice when you're 2021. I recommend we keep talking until she finished her studies, which wasn't very long. She still had a half year left. And if we happen to meet anyone in our lives and it got serious, we'd break it off. She agreed. I think that's fine. If you agree that we're not serious, we're not official, we're not together, but we can still talk, and you're honest about that, totally fine with that. But just be honest, because if you have some kind of hidden agenda and you have more feelings than she has and she meets someone else, it's going to be hard, right? You're setting yourself up for disaster on that. But if you're honest and you're like leaving your options open, that's the main thing. You're dating some other people, then it's completely fine. Because what someone does is like, oh, I didn't know they were going to meet someone. Well, that was your agreement. Don't make covert contracts. Now, we spent that summer together, and when she left, kept in touch. She asked me to go visit her sometime. I was skeptical, but I told her that if a certain band we were listening to together that summer came close to where she lived, I'd come and stay for a week so we could spend some time and see the concert. Sure enough, the band announced the dates, and they would play close by. So I booked tickets for the concert only. We kept talking for another 1 to 2 months, and at one point, she wanted to do video calls every day. All right, so it seems like she's gaining a little bit of traction on the feelings. Things are escalating. No one's pushing anyone into a corner, but you still got this long distance thing, right? We kept talking for another 1 to 2 months, and at one point she wanted to do a video calls every day, initiating sexting and watch movies together. So this is a thing now in long distance, right? Someone's like, oh my God, they're sexting. Oh my God, they're, getting off talking on their webcams, whatever. What else are you going to do, right? Okay, which wasn't all that bad, but they started to push things a little too much for me towards a LDR. So I made my feelings clear, and I told her that I felt that this put pressure on me to do a legit LDR, which we both agreed we didn't want. She said she understood, apologized, and told me I was right. So the fact that you agreed, but you're escalating your activities, right? Things have changed since the first time you made that agreement, right? So on the flip side, this is actually a good thing because you do have some serious feelings for her, but you're also standing your ground and going, look, this isn't what I want. I don't think it's a good idea. So good for you, not just letting her lead the way. This is good that she's got feelings. I think you guys got some pretty good communication here, okay? And letting each other know. The fact that she feels like she had to apologize, the idea that you're like, oh, I told her this in the beginning. Things change in an LDR. Things change in a relationship where there's some gray area, where you're sexting, where you've known each other since you were young, right? Like, things will change. So the circumstances have changed, and that's why she wants a more serious relationship, right? But the fact that you don't want that's fine. But saying that, we agreed to this already. Well, the circumstances were different then, okay? Now, after that, we didn't speak too often, and usually I was the one to initiate the conversation. The kind of irked me, to be honest, and my mistake was that I never made that known. Well, here's the thing. You can't always have your cake and eat it too. You tell a woman she's 20, 21 now. She's studying abroad. She's in university. She makes a play and says, hey, I want to make this more official. I want to watch movies together online. I want to do sexting, but I want to know that you're my boyfriend and we're official. And you're like, yeah, we didn't agree to that. And now you're saying, but So she went here, and you thought, okay, just take it down a notch to where we were. And what she did is like, well, if we're not going to go here, I'm going to go here. She's got to get her needs met, and give her some credit. She's got self-respect, right? So this kind of irked me, to be honest, and my mistake was that I never made that known. The following Christmas holidays, I visited my cousin. I asked her if she was in town so we could hang out, and she couldn't at that time due to taking care of a family member. When the time came and when the time came to finally plan the trip, we started doing video calls again so she could talk me through on how to get to the city she lived in. Things seemed normal on video chat, but on regular text things were a bit off. So I asked her before I booked flight tickets if anything had changed and if there was anything she wanted to tell me, and she said no. I mean, what do you want here? You're both still in long distance. The fact that one of you are going to cut each other off eventually, right? Because long distance relationships have an expiration date. She said she wanted to be more official. You said no. Now you're thinking, oh, maybe I made a wrong move. Maybe I should have said this. Regardless of what you did, there wasn't going to be a long-term play on this because you're not living in the same city. The best play, your casual hookup buddies when you're in town. When you're in town, there's a possibility that the stars are lined up, she's available, you're available, and you hook up, right? But past that, it's not going to work. When I landed there, when I landed there and finally made it to where she lived after an exhausting journey, I'm sorry, I think I skipped something. When the first time came finally to plan a trip, we started doing video calls again so she could talk me through on how to get to the city she lived in. Things seemed normal on video chat, but on regular text, what does normal mean? But on regular text, things were a bit off. So I asked her before I booked flight tickets if anything had changed and if there was anything she wanted to tell me, and she said no. When I landed, I know where this is going, actually. I haven't read this yet, but my prediction is she was probably talking to someone or with someone already, and you thought when you showed up there that you would just be, the main squeeze. When I landed there and finally made it to where she lived, after an exhausting journey, I went for a hug and kiss and the latter, and she rejected me. She told me that when I told her to tone it down, she felt sad and thought I didn't like her anymore and stuff like that, which she obviously never talked about. She also said that during Christmas, more or less, she met a guy that made her feel safe and that would wait for her phone for her to come back, a LDR, which she said she didn't want. Okay, great that you wrote this out. I'm going to help you through this, bud. Number one, you didn't want an LDR, and you're right for not wanting an LDR. LDRs are not ideal at 21 years old, especially with someone studying abroad. She could have still met this guy even if you would have agreed to be in the LDR, okay? This could have transpired anyways. They're not ideal relationships. It's not. You were also on board for that. Now you're regretting it because she changed her mind about you because you told her to tone it down. Now you told her to tone it down because you didn't want an LDR, but she wasn't going to stay in a holding pattern. And you're like, well, when we first started talking, we made this agreement. When you're in a relationship, things are like water. They're going to change. Right? Especially in a situation like this. So the fact that you guys didn't really have any intimacy, you hadn't talked for a while, and you thought you were going to show up for a concert and it was going to be like rose petals and wine glasses, this is a reality check for you, right? And this is for, and the idea that you somehow look back and this isn't what I expected, this isn't what I wanted. This is good wisdom for you, okay? Right? Shoulda, coulda, woulda. I still think you did the right thing in not accepting a long-distance relationship. They're not ideal in your early 20s, period. Obviously, I was furious. I felt like I was suffocating. We fought. We screamed. She apologized many times, but the damage was already done, and I would have none of it. If I stayed there for a couple of days and she tried to break the ice a little bit, since if we weren't talking completely, we were only fighting, I tried making a few moves on her. She retorted the kiss, but it never went further. When I asked her if it's because she mustn't or because she didn't want to, she said, I can't answer that. This is just a bad situation. You're spending a lot of time on an LDR, right? Things aren't going to change until she moves back from her study abroad trip and you're in the same town. So even if, like, let's just say everything went right. Let's just say that it was rose petals and wine glasses. You got off the plane, she kissed you and she hugged you. It's a Hollywood story, right? You still got to get on the plane and leave and be in an LDR and be in this gray area. It's not ideal. So this idea that, you know, it didn't go right and you were expecting a certain thing, and the idea that you're sort of blaming her for now she's in an LDR with some other guy when she told me that's something she never wanted, but you also said you didn't want it either. So you're going back on your word, which is highly unattractive to women. I do think by what you said, there's some cryptic things here where she probably has some feelings for you. She's still attracted to you, but your approach is shit, to be honest. Like this approach, I was furious. I felt like we fought, we screamed. That wasn't the approach to take. The approach, if you want to get with her or you want to get with her in the future, the approach is to go, oh, you're talking to someone else. All right. Well, let's just keep that to the side for right now. Because, by the way, she's not your girlfriend anyways. Wasn't when you were planning to go there. So, like I said, you'd love to have it where you have your cake and eat it too. You'd love to have the idea that we could stay in this gray area and we could do all these things. But it didn't work out that way, and you were right for doing that. But if you wanted this to work, you had to go over there with the attitude like, whatever happens, happens. I'm there for the concert. We hook up, we don't hook up. And as far as this guy goes, being angry at her for it, she could say the same thing. You're the one that told me to tone it down, right? I left to stay with a friend that was studying in the same country, 12 hours away. She came with me to the bus, and when she leaned in for a goodbye hug or kiss, I pushed her away and told her to leave me alone. Bad approach, dude. See, this is where your maturity comes in at your age. This is really good that you sent this story in. I mean, what does she owe you? What does she owe you? Right? If you before you went to the concert, if she said, "Oh my," if you guys were having sweet talk before she came, or before you came to visit her, well then okay, I guess your expectations are lowered. But as a man, get away from me, don't touch me. It's like, come on, man. It is what it is. You weren't together. You told her to tone it down when she initiated she wanted to be with you. That's the ideal situation. A woman makes a decision. She says, I want to take it a step further. I want to be your girlfriend. I want to be official after 2 or 3 months of you guys talking regularly, of building up attraction. And then you tell her, oh, tone it down, and you expect her to sit on the sidelines and be the backup quarterback for another year or two while she's abroad? Come on, bro. And then when you go to visit her, you throw a tantrum. This is all this, this is anyone on the chat that's got a little bit of maturity to them, right? This is one of those things. Nothing against you, because I'll tell you the damn truth. When I was 20, 21, I might have took the same approach. I might have. I think I have, right? Because you think, well, what you don't realize, right? You don't realize this. I'm stuttering here. You don't realize this part. You're hurting. She hurt you. You don't want to admit that. You're like, I'm furious, I'm angry. No, you're hurt. You're hurt. You're a little embarrassed, right? So what do? This is what human beings do. You hurt me, I want to hurt you. You embarrass me, I want to embarrass you. So when you're at that situation, she gives you a hug and a kiss, she leans in and says goodbye, and you're going somewhere else. You're like, get away from me. So you think, I got her back. And what you're secretly hoping for is for her to say, sorry, 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 and pity you. That's what you're secretly hoping for. But the reality is, you're just going to push her further away because she's going to look at it like, wow, this is how this guy acts. After the most nerve-wracking, anxiety-ridden, and miserable trip of my life, see, extremely dramatic, okay? This is where you're 21, 22. There's going to be things in your life that are more nerve-wracking, anxiety-ridden, and miserable than a situation like this if you're living life the way you should be. I at least got to see the concert live. Excellent. Thank you for closing out with something strong and positive, bro. It's been years since all this happened. I stopped hating her for a while. You had no right to hate her, okay? You hated what happened, but like here's a really good way to put this to you. This is a really good way, and this could be applied to anything in your life. This could be applied to my life at my age, and this could be applied to Rick, who's on the chat. Rye Flint, how you doing? Sabina, anyone, chime in on this. This is what happens. You look at it and you go, Well, if I didn't say tone it down, everything would have been different. Well, if she never met that guy for that LDR, everything would have been different, right? And this is where we get wrong. When we look back on things, myself included, you go, oh, if I would have done this, everything would have been right after that. You don't know what would have transpired after that. Let's just play a little game of what if, right? Which isn't a fun game because it's not going to happen. But you go back and instead of saying tone it down, you say, you know what? I was like, let's make this work, hun. We're going to do a long distance relationship. We're going to talk every day on the phone and we're going to see what happens. And we're going to watch that concert together and she hugs and kisses you and loves you and you have the passionate, most greatest intimacy of your life when you go to visit her and everything went right. It's still not going to mean everything went right the next month, the next day, the next month. She could have still met someone else or decided, you know what, I don't like long distance. And this is what happens. You go back in time and you think one move would have been perfect. Now tell me I'm wrong on this, anyone in the chat. Have you ever had this where you're like, damn, if I would have made that one move, everything would have went right? Now think about it like this. Let me put it into context for you. Let me break this down really quick. There's a bunch of stories out there, okay? There's a bunch of stories out there of people that have won the lottery. And you think, that would be the greatest thing in the world if I won the lottery. If I won $10 million, $20 million, myself included, I think I'd be a damn good millionaire. I think I'd be highly generous and charitable, and I would do everything I can to keep that going, right? Now, how many times have you read that they've lost it all? How many athletes that made $100 million on paper lost it all? And you're like, how does someone do that? Because life happens. And so you look back and you think, if I would have done everything right, if I would have done that right, I would have got everything, everything would have been perfect. That's not how it works. So when you look back at this relationship and you hate her and you look back and you dissect it, don't think if you would have made one move, everything else would have went right. Do you understand what I mean by that? She asked me, okay, it's been years since all this happened. I've stopped hating her for a while. She asked me back. Then if I had made it back home safe, but besides that, we haven't spoken since, save for the fact that she sends me birthday wishes. Well, she still has interest in you, it sounds like. I'm still thinking about her and what could have been. See, that was my whole point about what could have been. You got to get out of that and let that go because you don't even know how that would have transpired. You might have got with her and then felt bad about being trapped. Let me ask you this. Post LDR, not being in the LDR, did you hook up with other women? All right. Almost every day. I've hooked up with other girls, been in another relationship, which turns out to be shit. When there is some downtime in my life, she's almost like the default thought. Well, this is what everyone does. Oh, if I would have made that decision, everything would have went right. You don't know. If I would have won the lottery, everything would have went right. How many people's life is worse after they win the lottery? I'm leaving the country next year to work abroad. Congratulations. I'm even thinking about coming clean and telling her how I've been feeling for the past 3 years, but I don't know. I just don't want to have this same exact problem when I'm gone. All right, great question. I'm going to help you through this. You don't need to make it as heavy as I've been thinking about you for 3 years, okay? That's a bit heavy, right? I would just call her up or reach out and start a conversation. And then if that goes well and you're in the same, I don't know if you're in the same town or city, meet up for dinner and see how it goes. And let go of the past. Don't bring up anything from the past. Be present and see how well you connect. Discovery mission, discovery mission, discovery mission. You have nothing to lose but to go, oh, you know, the past 3 years, I just think about you all the time and what could have been. Don't do that. That's too much weight on the situation, okay? Don't do that. Call her up or text her or email her. Say, hey, how have you been? What have you been up to? Right? And then go from there. If she says, no, it's not a good time to meet up or talk, you just say, okay, and move on with your life. If she says, yeah, I'd like to meet up, say, like, make it, Friday night, let's get dinner. Let's go out. And when you go into it, don't go into it with the big expectations. Don't fucking bring up the past, please. All right? This is one of those things you need to explore it. She's hit you up with birthday wishes. She's, you know what I mean? Carrying this out because you got hurt showing up for the concert, you got to let that, if you're going to revisit this, you got to let that go. You can't bring it up. A lot of dudes do this. They want the woman back, but they also want them to pay. They want them to pay for the time that they were hurt or disrespected. You got to get over that part. And then, like I said, discovery mission. If she says no, you're fine. You're moving anyways. All right, let me get into the chat here. Let's see here. I'm just getting back. Agreed, Coach. Our wants and needs as we age definitely change and has a lot to do with how we view our current relationship situation. Absolutely. If you're evolving right, you're going to look at a new relationship. It's like if you look back at a relationship you had when you were in your 20s and you're going to look at it when you're in your 30s, you're going to look at it in a different way. That person might be better for you now or they might be much worse for you now. Yeah, the landscape of the current dating situation in the U.S. is all over the place. People are only as faithful as their options. And with social media, people's options are of an abundance. Rick, we got to do a story on that. I got to talk to you about that, bro. This idea that there's all these videos out there claiming that men have no chance and women are so off. I think there's some truth to that. Absolutely. I think what you're doing, though, is you're setting up a lot of young people or a lot of men to go, well, if it's like, let me put it this way. If you feel that's the way it looks, you're going to find that to be true. I mean, is it possible? Here's the thing, man. You watch some show like Fresh and Fit or something. Look at the girls that are on those shows. That represents their point. But does that represent all women in America? And I'm not saying that there's not some truth to the situation. But it's extreme what these channels are saying. There's a lot of bitterness out there. What people don't consider is like, where are you going to meet some of these women that you're complaining about? And could it be that you're just not as good as you think you are? New generation of 20s, Gen Z is different than ours, Mac. Absolutely. I will attest to that. I like the statement, Rick. LDR never really a good thing. Relationships are hard enough without adding in distance. What I find is LDRs, clients of mine that it works for, usually a little bit older, established. It's a career move, so it's understandable. The person that both parties are already not very social, and they're moving to cities that aren't very vibrant. So it definitely works as the age gets older. The younger you are in an LDR, let's just say you go to 2 different universities, and the environment each of you are in during the LDR is what counts. No one talks about that. I've got my own business, so actually most men have less flexibility and power than I do. Good for you, lucky duck. What's the business? It's only up from here, so don't be talking about men having that edge. Lots of them live in at home. What do you mean by that, lucky duck? Rick C., make no mistake, less and less ladies want you as you go along, just like women. The clock ticks for us all. I would say that men tend to age better, but women have the ability to do certain plastic surgery items that help. Although I do know some men that are pretty wealthy that are in their 50s that look like 35 and have done, Botox and things like that. Men are success objects to women, and women are beauty objects to men. We don't care how much money our women makes. Could you take a man seriously who only makes $35,000 a year? No one looks at an old guy and a gold digger and goes, they're so cute. So cute. I want to be them someday. Everybody sees that deal. Okay, I'm going to break that one down, Lucky Duck. Number 1, so I just did a video on perception versus perspective. Perspective versus perception. So, first of all, the person that is the gold digger, let's just say it's the female in this case. Where is she coming from? Did she come from poverty? Does she not have a lot of skills? Where is this coming from? Is this something her mom did? Number 2, if the man and the woman are agreeable to that, no one's getting abused, no one's getting hurt. The old guy knows what it is, right? Now, outside people, let's just say a, established 28-year-old woman looks like, oh, this is gold digging. This is this or that. If they're happy with that arrangement or that relationship, it's completely fine. And a woman can be attracted to older men. And this is where perception and perspective come in. Perception is, oh, no way, she's only choosing him because money. All right? But perspective would be, let me learn how she came to that decision. That's a totally different thing than your perception. Your perception is based on what you believe and what you want to believe. Getting perspective is saying, where is that person coming from? How did they really meet that guy? How did their love transpire? What is the story behind that relationship? Why does she like older men? Now, those are questions that could get you into the perspective rather than just, ugh. Women clock ticks not for every woman. All women are not the same. All men are not the same. Sabina, I would agree. Understandable, but look around. How many young women are with older men? I'm 35, going on 36, and have more options now than I did when I was younger. Consistently been dating women 7 to 10 years younger. Rixie, I would say one of your benefits is that you live in a good area, San Diego, if you're still in there. The wisdom that you have. I would say that's very underrated, though. The city and the area that you live in, how abundant it is with options. And I would say that the options in the 25-year range, which is what you're saying, right? Like, where if you were in Nebraska or Oklahoma in a farm town, right, it wouldn't be as abundant. Women outlive men. So I've never heard that before. That's a deflection. We're not referencing who lives longer. We're discussing the dating landscape. Would you take the store clerk making $35,000 seriously? I bet if you really called on all your options, you'd find that they get not a shit. You probably got one, if that. Okay, so now we're just taking shots at each other, huh? Maturity, young man, ego stuff. Rye Flint, how you doing? Men overestimate themselves. Testosterone affects their brain like that. Rixie, you're talking about age for men helping their odds. I stated women outlive men. How is that not relevant? Okay. My life where I choose not to exercise those options. Getting a woman to lay on her back for me is a cheap prize. I'm looking to do life with someone. We're clearly at two completely different maturity levels. Okay, Rick, getting into it a little bit here, huh? Ain't person, it's just the issue shows the worst in a person. No, I just call proofed up ego when I seize one. If that causes you trauma, you might need some help. Wow. Ma'am, is what you're doing working, or are you qualified to fix you? Show me an attorney who represents himself, and I'll show you an attorney who has a fool for a client. Rick would be great for a talk. Very true. Rye Flint, how you doing? It's been a while. Some men always looked like potato and always will. Skeletal structure is forever. I got it. Wow, what does that even mean? It's hard to talk here on the chat. It's a huge topic. Yo, I've had nothing but younger men attracted to me. Bone structure lasts. If you're a potato, that's about it. Okay, now we're getting into all different directions here. All right, this has been good. If you guys have a real breakup story you want to share down the road, put it in at writemac.com. Good to see you, Rick. I'll be in contact, bud. Let me know in the comments or in the future live streams if there's some topics you want me to bust on. Rye Flint, or RY, I've seen you in the chat before, and I appreciate you. Sabina, it's always a pleasure. And Lucky Ducky, thanks for giving your take today. And I hope you're moving on from that past relationship, staying strong, and I wish you all the best in your business. All right, folks, it's curtains.